The first scene showcases Leo, a French man who arrives at a large mansion. He is here to apply for a nursing job, in which he has to take care of a bedridden and free-spirited woman named Muriel. Muriel appears to have hired more than 40 different women for this job, but they only last 3 days, sometimes a week. The job happens to be so tough that they'd rather starve than stay. So, during her interview with Leo, Muriel claims that she requires someone who will not vanish after 3 days. She outlines the job duties of cooking, cleaning, and caring for her, against her better judgment. Muriel also highlights that cleaning her is the most difficult part of the job, and because Leo does not have a wife or children, it will be even harder for him. However, he agrees to perform all the tasks without second thoughts. Hearing this, Muriel hires him right away. In the next scene, Leo begins working there, and Muriel's longtime caretaker, Lucia, trains him with the daily tasks. She believes that Muriel's decision to hire a man for such a job is strange. Early in the morning, Lucia wakes Leo up and asks him to accompany her so she can teach him about percussion. Prior to starting the training process, she reminds him to be mindful of preserving her privacy because she is still a woman. Following this, Lucia proceeds to demonstrate how to handle her and position the bedpan correctly underneath her. Since Muriel is paralyzed from neck to toe, she is unable to urinate by herself. So Lucia teaches Leo how to perform percussion in order to help her urinate. Once the process is completed, Lucia asks if he is comfortable with the task, which Leo confirms. She then claims that he started with the most difficult part of the training because massages and general care are simpler. Additionally, she tells him that he will have to handle everything himself the next day because she will not be present. She inquires if he is capable of handling the task, and Leo confidently says yes. However, it is not as simple as he anticipated. Initially, Leo frustrates Muriel by waking up late in the morning. He manages to prepare and feed her breakfast, but when it comes to percussion, both of them are hesitant. Muriel suggests that he call Lucia for it, but he fails to do so. With no other choice, Leo follows the procedure and somehow manages to complete the process. Several hours later, Lucia returns and is surprised to see him still there. Unlike the previous workers, Leo then gives her a hand with the laundry, during which he inquires as to how Muriel ended up in such a situation. Lucia answers that she had a car accident 3 years ago while on her way to meet her fiancé. When she awoke from her coma, she decided not to return home. Her fiancé made a hazy attempt to persuade her to come back, but he quickly requested a transfer and left. According to Lucia, the most recent letter Muriel received was 2 years ago. After answering all of his questions, Lucia asks about him, but Leo doesn't reveal anything about himself. The first few days at work are a disaster because Leo continues to be careless and frequently arrives late. One day, he receives a rebuke from Muriel, who warns him that it is his final chance and that if he repeats it again, he will be fired. Later, Lucia tells him that Muriel's scolding is not unusual and that he should consider himself fortunate for not being fired. After a week, Leo receives his first paycheck, which he uses to buy a new pair of shoes. He then goes to a boxing center where he meets a trainer named Rodrigo. Here, it is revealed that Leo is a former boxer who used to train with Rodrigo, but he has been out of the sport for a long time. Now that he is back, Rodrigo introduces him to 2 female boxers named Miranda and Lena and asks him to coach them as they are top fighters. Leo is unsure if the girls are able to compete in the tournament, but he agrees to train one of them, Lena. He requests that Rodrigo train Miranda and then organize a match between the two. Leo also forwards a $5,000 bet in exchange for this. Back at work, Leo turns on the television to watch boxing with Muriel, but she shows no interest in the sport. She then questions his ability to read, to which he responds negatively. To verify, she makes him read a paragraph from a random book. Leo demonstrates decent reading skills, but he struggles to comprehend the material that he reads. As a result, she starts to make him read books for her, which leads to an improvement in his reading skills and vocabulary. With time, Leo grows accustomed to his job, and he completes all of his responsibilities without any complaints. One day, Leo suggests taking Muriel outside for some fresh air because she has not been outdoors in many years. However, she vehemently refuses as she does not have trust in him. Knowing he's a heavy drinker, she thinks his hands are always shaking and suspects his legs are the same. Muriel is really terrified of falling, so she does not want to take any chances. But despite her initial reluctance, Leo somehow persuades her and carries her to the roof. He carefully places her in a wheelchair, before inviting her to a game of guessing different flower scents. Leo has a box full of different flower scents that he lets her guess one after another. Surprisingly, Muriel enjoys his company and starts trusting him. She then requests him to take her for a walk around town. In the next scene, Muriel finally leaves the house after being confined indoors for so long, and she appears very content. After wandering around the city for a while, she asks Leo to take her to a street library where she used to buy a lot of books. There, Muriel reunites with an old friend named Parchio, who works as a librarian, and the two are delighted to see each other after such a long period of time. After spending the entire day outside, they return home. The next day, in his spare time, Leo visits the boxing center and discovers that Lena has quit boxing due to financial troubles. Now, she has resorted to sleeping with men to make money. Upset about the revelation, Leo immediately goes to Lena's house to persuade her to return to boxing. He assures her that he will make her win so that she can begin a new life with a financially stable future, including a husband and children. However, the latter is unconvinced. She reveals that she was assaulted for the first time when she was 11 years old. Now, Lena believes that it is too late for her to have the kind of life Leo is describing. Following this, he brings up the bet with Rodrigo and offers her half of the money if she wins. He also tells her about a private boxing gym where they can practice without any intervention. Lena agrees to Leo's proposition, and he takes her to a small old building with a boxing ring where they can practice. However, Leo observes that Lena is sluggish and unenthusiastic during training. When questioned about it, she claims that she lacks energy because she hasn't eaten anything since yesterday. As a result, Leo takes her to a restaurant and treats her to some delectable cuisine. Following this, the two proceed to a bar where Leo orders a drink while Lena begins dancing. During this time, she overhears a white girl gossiping behind her back about her, so she punches her hard, causing her nose to bleed. To avoid further trouble, Leo grabs her hand and drags her away immediately. However, it does not end here because they are soon apprehended by the white girl's companions, who severely beat Leo up. They continue until Lena appears from behind, brandishing a knife and threatening to kill them. She then takes Leo to her place and cleans his wound. Due to the injury, Leo is unable to go to work, so he asks Lena to inform Lucia about it. The following morning, Lena goes to meet Lucia, pretending to be Leo's neighbor, and tells her about him. The latter inquires if Leo has quit his job, but Lena does not respond clearly. Lucia then conveys the message to Muriel, who is disappointed because she appears to have developed feelings for Leo. After some depressing thoughts, she decides to hire a new caretaker, assuming that he will not return. 2 days later, Muriel is shown interviewing a female caretaker when Leo appears with a swollen face. The two then have a private conversation in which he finally admits that he was a former boxer who frequently got into fights, despite his assurances that it won't happen again. And enraged Muriel fires him and demands that he leave with the money he owes. Leo expresses his desire to remain and promises that it will not happen again. Despite his pleas to stay, she is adamant and orders him to leave, leaving both of them upset. Leo has no choice but to go to Lena's house and stay with her. He also continues to train her to the best of her ability. On the other hand, Muriel, who is aware of Lucia's drug addiction, requests that she give him a double dose to help her cope with the pain. However, Lucia is unable to do so because she genuinely cares for Muriel. One night, Leo becomes inebriated and ends up sleeping at Muriel's place. When she awakes the next morning, she discovers him snoring beside her. Despite his foul breath, Muriel appears pleased to have him with her. Shortly after he wakes up, she inquires as to why he is here, and Leo responds that he wants to stay. Muriel insists that she would rather have a caregiver who is punctual and sober than a drunkard. She goes on to express her pain, emphasizing that he must not treat her carelessly because she is not like other women who can afford to give him a second chance, and a fishbone is all it takes to kill her. After hearing this, Leo pledges to not repeat his error, and as a result, Muriel rehires him. From that moment on, the two are back together. They begin strolling outside in the same manner as they did in the past. Their relationship grows stronger as they spend more time with each other. Muriel also makes him vow to stay with her, no matter where he goes. In the midst of all this, Leo continues to train Lena improving her abilities day by day. As the date of Lena's fight approaches, Leo requests a few days off from Lucia, and he tells her the actual reason. She inquires as to how long he intends to stay with Lena, to which he responds, "I won't leave." Lucia later informs Muriel of this, but does not reveal that the fighter Leo has been training is a woman. To prevent Muriel from getting hurt, Lucia fabricates a lie and claims that the fighter is a young boy named Obardo. Muriel, wanting to show her support for Leo, assigns Lucia to buy him a new shirt as a good luck charm. The scene then shifts to the boxing match where Lena is pitted against Miranda. Throughout the match, Rodrigo is seen cheering and guiding Miranda, while Leo appears to be lost in thoughts about his past days when he used to be a boxing champion. However, the reason why he quit boxing and how he became broke is still unknown. A short time later, he returns his attention to the match and guides Lena with the tactics. When the opponent arises, he orders her to attack, and she knocks Miranda out, leading her to victory. In the final scene, Leo pays Rodrigo a visit, who has his money ready. However, Leo asks him to give half of it to Lena and keep the other half for himself. In exchange for the money, he asks Rodrigo to lend his car for a few days. The movie ends as Leo takes Muriel for a long drive to the beach and fulfills her dream of playing in the ocean water.